everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 169. Hello. I want to start off by giving you guys an update. Just a couple of episodes ago, I talked about a colleague of mine whom I had a falling out with, and I was like, oh, I'm done. And, some people are just like, you can't just be friends with them. Some people are just toxic, and though that could still be true. No, I think, okay, as you guys know on this podcast, I am very transparent, at least a calculated, transparent way. Like, I'm calculated with what I say here. I don't tell every little detail, but I say a lot. And what I have disclosed here on this podcast is just very much like the intricate details of my mental state and the relationships that I'm in, whether it's romantic, platonic, professional, familial, and just my experiences with relationships over time. Like, I've always kind of battled with this internal commitment that I'm lonely, no one likes me, and all these like negative ways of thinking. And that's something that I own and that I recognize more and more, right? And recognizing more that my anxiety sometimes plays tricks on me, and my mind plays tricks on me, and I would then put on a narrative that I created in my mind, and I will guilt you for it, right? I will put you in the hot seat. I will make you feel like you are the worst person in the world because of what I created in my mind. Like, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, right? That whole saying. But it's also it's very powerful. It could really make you believe something that's not even true. And it can make you just create this whole scenario that you really believe is true. You really believe it's facts, and yet it's not, right? So anyway, I say all this to say, me and him are friends again. Maxie, you're so flaky. Are you so flaky? No, I don't think it's flakiness. I think it's also, sometimes I'm just too quick to throw people away. Sometimes it's definitely necessary and relevant. And maybe it's not sometimes, but like other times I think, as a way to protect myself or make myself feel like I have the upper hand, I'm going to instantly be cold to you. I'm going to just kind of shut you off, when in reality, I really did appreciate the friendship that we had and the closeness that we created throughout our, time working together and all of that. Anyway, so I was feeling convicted, like, for a couple of weeks to apologize to him. And what's interesting about that is, you may think, what, after what you told us, about what he said and did, and things that transpired. Yes, I wanted to still apologize to him because I felt convicted about what I said earlier, right? About how I created this whole scenario in my mind, and I was so quick to put him in this like negative category, and that's not fair. So to provide some context, we had a falling out because I was under the impression that I created in my mind that he deliberately did not invite me or include me in an outing that took place with him and a few other people. And I felt like, oh, well, he deliberately didn't include me, and he never includes me, or the past few times he has gone out, I haven't been a part of it, and I didn't know about it until afterwards. And I was like taking all of that and adding that to the reasons in my mind as to why this person is not a good person. This person is not a good friend to me. And that's not okay. That's not fair to him. That's not fair to myself. That's not fair to the friendship that we created. And it was just really whack. And I based the argument was based off of that. It was based off of this this idea that I created, that I was deliberately sought out to not be a part of something, when that wasn't the case. Like, I get so quick to not give people sometimes the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm quick to give you the negative the negative reason, or just like you're doing this because you're evil and you hate me. It's just all these things. Anyway, I felt convicted about it, and I was thinking, I was debating with myself, like, should I apologize? No, let's just move on. Let's just not talk about it. Or I do like to talk over things. Like, I don't like to just act like nothing happened. And that's what was happening the last few weeks or so. Like, it was just, we just kind of moved on and started talking, started cracking jokes, and started having like regular interactions. But there was no official conversation had after that moment. So again, a couple of weeks pass, like 2 or 3 months pass probably, and no official conversation has happened to discuss what took place. And the time that we spent, like a whole month, I believe, of not talking, not making eye contact, not going into each other's class. It was just this weird energy thing that I took part of and he took part of. It was a mutual thing, and we never had a conversation about it until I decided to do that just a few days ago. And I was like, you know what, I know we never got a chance to talk about what took place, and I want to start off by saying I'm sorry for putting this pressure upon you and making you feel like you're this bad friend. And I was anyway, to paraphrase, I was just basically apologizing for blaming him for shit that I created in my mind. Like, what? Like, I'm mad at you for what I thought of, not for what was deliberately done or what I had hard evidence of you being shady. So, like, it was nothing of that. It was something that I created in my mind, and I was so committed to that belief. I was so committed to that thought. And that's something that I am recognizing more in myself. Like, am I mad at you because of what you did, or am I mad at you because of something that I am insecure about and that I conjured up in my mind, and now I'm creating this scenario and it's a projection, and like, which one is it? And for this case, it was me creating something in my mind, getting mad at that thought, and then putting that upon you, and now expecting you, if you're a good friend, you'll apologize for what I got mad over in my mind. Like, that's unfair. And that's what I was saying to him. I was like, that was unfair for me to do that. And I recognize that has a flaw of mine. Like, and when I apologize, I go in, like, I'm going to be very detailed and specific, because I've reflected. I really took time to really sit back with myself, and I hope that reflection is transparent. And what I appreciate about that moment with him was that I was honest and transparent and vulnerable and sensitive, and he reciprocated that same energy, and it was genuine, right? He apologized himself for just basically like his level of reaction towards me, and like we were just having a whole conversation and really understanding each other a little bit deeper. And it was nice. It was a really nice moment. So I say all that to say that it's okay to apologize. It's okay to recognize, yeah, shit, I fucked up. Like, I got mad at you over something that I thought of, not over something that you did. And I think sometimes when we let time go by, we think, oh, well, I guess we don't need to talk about it. Or I guess we could just like act like it never happened. But that's being disingenuous. And I want to have genuine relationships with people, right? I want to have quality relationships with people whom I can have these conversations with and not feel like it's going nowhere. And I'm glad that it went somewhere with him. I'm glad that this was like just kind of like, okay, it was a release. It was a release, and it felt good. And I'm glad that we had that. So again, like, prior to this conversation, we were just kind of going about our time around each other like nothing happened, and just kind of just telling jokes, just being chill with it, but never really having that conversation to really let that shit go and really discuss it so that we could be better people and better friends to each other. So hopefully that was inspiration for anyone who may be going through some hard. Now, look, I say that to say, even though you may have a falling out with someone, it doesn't mean that you have to reconnect, right? Like, this is an isolated event, right? I'm saying this because another friend of mine, an ex-friend of mine, has come into my mind just right now as I'm talking about this particular situation. And it this is totally different, right? Like, I still don't want to be friends with the other person that I'm thinking about, right? Like, there is no, oh, well, I think sometimes we get in the habit of, well, if I could talk it over with this friend, or if I could move on and be in good standing, and we're at a great place with this friendship that was once fractured, oh, I could apply that same energy to another former friend. No, I think everything is nuanced, right? At least for the most part. I think everything is nuanced. I think there are particular situations for a reason. I don't think everyone you fell out with is a sign that you should, not even can, but you should reconcile with that. No, like, you could also let friends go and be fine with it. Like, you don't have to feel convicted about it. You don't have to be pressured because, oh, you may have mutual friends, or, oh, there's a history with this friendship. No, like, look, if you don't get anything from this podcast, please understand this. Let things go. You can and this is anything, a relationship, a friendship, a job, a location, an environment. Let it go. You don't have to feel guilty for letting it go. You don't have to feel like you have to hold on. Look, get a divorce. Sign the papers. Okay, moving forward, let's talk about Beyonce. Oh man, this pains me to have this conversation. It really does. And you may think, what are we going to talk about? What are you trying to say? Your whole intro is a Beyonce song. I know. My whole life I've been a B stan. My whole life I've been Beehive Chapter 10 Senior Partner 1. Like, I've been in this thing. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I'm a Beyonce fan, stan, hands down. Or I was, right? Like, I'm still a fan, don't get me wrong, but like, not that stan identity that I used to hold on to so vividly or so tightly. I don't really hold on to it anymore. And I'm also realizing that it's not because of Beyonce. It has nothing to do with her. It's my relationship to celebrity. That's what I am no longer giving much of a fuck about. Like, I think before, like when I was growing up, in my adolescent years, and the environment that I was in, the people who I was around, we had similar strong admirations for Beyonce and for her records, for her music videos, for her relationship with Jay-Z. Like, it was a shared interest that was so strong. And now I don't feel that anymore. Is that weird? Should I change my intro music? Is that what this is? No, I mean, I don't have any interest in changing my intro music. Not yet, at least. I don't know. But again, it has nothing to do with Beyonce. I think ultimately it's just the idea of celebrity and the times that I've given so much of a fuck about celebrity and cared so much about celebrities. I don't care about it anymore. And it's not to say I don't follow up sometimes or may not be aware of what some celebrities are into. You know, obviously I do to some extent because I discuss it here on this podcast. But other than that, I don't spend my night and day talking about celebrities, researching about like, no, like, I really like getting into like political topics. I like getting into topics about identity and the earth, aliens, are they real? You know, conspiracy theories. Like, I like all those topics rather than talking about another music video. Like, music video is not even much of a thing anymore. I know Kendrick Lamar came out with his latest album, and I haven't watched this music video of his that's recent, but I heard about it. I know the video includes an image of him pretty much morphing into other well-known rappers, so whether dead or alive. So he morphed into Nipsey Hussle, Kanye West, I think J. Cole as well, and a few other rappers. I don't know why he did that. Like, I don't really know the reason behind it. I remember coming across on my feed on YouTube of someone breaking that down, like there's a purpose behind that, or there's a like a symbolic reason behind it, and I'm sure there is. It's Hollywood all day, but I mean, like, I just didn't care enough to really go do the research and watch the video back to back. It's not an interest of mine anymore. But Maxine years ago would have been a little bit more interested, even though I'm not really into Kendrick like that. Like, he's cool. Like, I like some of his songs, but I never really stand him. But if I did at one point, it would have been when I was a few years younger, rather than this age that I'm in now, this mindset that I'm in now, and that I have been in for the past couple of years. I just don't care about celebrities like that, or I don't care to stand them anymore. So his album came out, and I heard a lot of reviews. Now, mind you, I'm not listening to it, like going out of my way to do so. I have yet to listen to it. And what's really turned me off from going out of my way to listen to it is I've heard some reviews of it and just some breakdowns of his songs. And I'm noticing that it's basically trauma porn. And what I mean by that is, yeah, daddy, yeah, is that. It's trauma porn. Yeah, yeah, daddy. Fucking weird. Hello? Is the mic on? No, I'm dead ass though. Like, apparently he has a song that's about a time when he was molested. And look, of course, it's your art. You have to, not have to, but ultimately you are sharing pieces of yourself, and it's therapeutic. It's a release. It's it's a beautiful thing. And I hope that he felt healed and is healing after releasing this artwork. I understand, but what my point is, it's like the reviews that I've heard about for this album has a trend of almost every song is traumatic, right? He's talking about him being molested. He's talking about his aunt who's now an uncle. He's talking about how he was addicted to sex at one point, kept cheating on his fiance. He's like, it's just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yo, that's so funny to me. How do I know how to break into okay, anyway. I don't know. That's so much fun. If y'all could see my hair right now, oh my gosh. Like, what? What's going on? A quick side note. So my hair is currently in this like fro style. I put flexi rods to have this curly fro. And the thing with this style and having your natural hair out in this like textured style, it's hard to keep up with it, because if you sleep too long, or if you're sleeping in a particular angle or just posture, it's gonna flatten out some areas. So it's gonna look like it's matted in some ways. And being that my hair is 4C thick ass hair, lovingly, it's not gonna look as fresh as it did the first day of the style. Anyway, I tell that to say my hair looks kind of crazy right now, and me doing this whole daddy, yeah. It's just funny, like the juxtaposition of it all. Going back to Kendrick Lamar, I just don't care. I don't want to listen to it. And like oftentimes, at least, I don't know, like there are some records of his from his previous work that are catchy and that are I'll bump this, in the car, this gonna get me a little bit hype, like, cool, we gonna be all right, nigga. I like that song, that's cool. But from what I'm hearing about this album, like there aren't any records that are like that, like there aren't any records that I would care to play it with some friends and we're vibing out to it, or there aren't records that I would play during a pregame before we're heading out to, out in the town. Like, there aren't any records. Like, I don't want to hear about the time you got molested. I don't. I personally do not. And I have sympathy for that. I have care for that. I just want to rock out. Damn, dog. Like, come on. And then you talk about your aunt being an uncle now. I think the song started off with, my aunt is a man now. It's just like, oh my God, what are we doing? It's just trauma porn. It's too much. It's trauma bond. No, there's a thing called trauma mind control. Yeah, trauma mind control. Basically, when, you know how in Disney movies, or even like just any like Pixar movies, they always have just like slot of traumatic events that take place, right? Whether it's, the Lion King, you have, the daddy being killed and the son thinking it was him who was responsible, and he's carrying that guilt. And so you have these movies that are starting off with the base of trauma that sucks in the souls of its viewers. Now, the viewers are going to be filled with so much compassion and captivation for this media that they're watching. And now whatever you say next, honestly, is going to stay stuck in their mind for a little bit of time, right? It's going to impact the way that they move. It's going to impact their thoughts. And like, it's that deep. Like, media is very influential. And I just hate when people be like, oh, no, it's not. Shut up. You're fucking dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb. I'm thinking about that time I had a conversation with a former friend, and she was denying my good ass points. And that's the thing. Like, if you're dumb, just say that. Hello? Is it Mike? If you're dumb, if you don't understand what I'm saying, just say that. Right? If you haven't reached the level of mental capacity to understand and grasp the concepts that I'm teaching, just say that. Don't deny what I'm saying because you too dumb to get it. Oh, that shit's so fucking, it's so retarded to me. It's so retarded. Anyway, it's trauma mind control, and this applies to this album by Kendrick Lamar. It's just like this trauma mind control. I just want to be chill. Just leave me alone. Anyway, going back to Beyonce. I bring up Beyonce because I think her supreme reign, like this chokehold that she has had upon me, upon many of her fans as well, is no longer. And I hate to say it, Beehive, please don't. Like, I don't know how you even categorize me at this point, but I feel like there is none of that anymore. Here in 2022, there is none of that. And what's interesting about that is I think it is showing, but no one is talking about it enough. The people who I do hear talk about it are like I'll read some tweets here or there. There is this YouTube video that claims, and I've heard this argument for a while, or this theory for a while, that when Beyonce started her solo career, when she was transitioning out of Destiny's Child and Destiny's Child was coming to a close, she was starting her solo career. Her first single, if you all remember, is Work It Out. You gotta work it out. A brother's gotta work it out. Say what you want. Anyway, it's from the Austin Powers movie, and it was part of that soundtrack. But that was her first official single as a solo artist, as Beyonce Knowles. And that song didn't, like, it was cool, but it didn't catch us as listeners, as fans. It wasn't really all that. Her next single that has been pushed more as her real solo single as a solo artist is Crazy in Love. You know, got me looking so crazy right now. Your love got me looking so crazy. And if you watch the video of it, the aesthetics of the video is is of the same chord of A. Marie. Now, I don't know if it's true. Like, I don't know if these theories that I'm reading about and watching about definitely paints a certain determined conclusion that she stole from A. Marie, but that's the theory. The theory is that A. Marie had this sound first, that A. Marie had this look first. And if you look at some of A. Marie's music videos, they were published, they were put out into the world before Beyonce's solo career began, like probably like, I don't know how long ago before, but either way, they were put out before Beyonce's work came out as a solo artist. And in A. Marie's music videos, you see the same aesthetic that you would see in Beyonce's Crazy in Love video. And the aesthetic is these short shorts, these like Daisy Duke shorts, high heels, a tank, this like no makeup look in the beginning scene of the video. That was a lot of what A. Marie looked like in the beginning of her music videos. And there was one, every time, is that her song? Oh, A. Marie. Why don't we fall in love? It's a really good song. And even like videos after that, she kept that same aesthetic of these short shorts, a tank, or like a button down shirt, high heels, and she's rocking, she's dancing. She's like, you know how Beyonce will like get on the floor on her knees and she'll swing her hair and she'll be like that dramatic expression. That's what was A. Marie's appearance as well. That was her aesthetic as well, or prior to Beyonce doing it. And because more of the business was put under Beyonce, more of that support from the system, from the marketing, from the media, from the record labels, it was seen as Beyonce was the one who started this, and A. Marie is just like this like little side thing over here, kind of figuring it out and stealing Beyonce's work. When if you look at it chronologically, that's not the case. So that theory's out, and that's been out for a little while now. And reading it and watching the videos and the correlations, you see a strong argument there. Like I can't deny that it looks interesting. It looks interesting to say the least. And they actually say that A. Marie's producer, I forgot his name, but he actually started working with Beyonce during her Crazy in Love years with that single. And I don't know if it's true, of course. I don't know if any of this is true, but the correlation, the theories, it's a strong argument. But they're trying to say that Beyonce took him away from A. Marie, and maybe she paid him a little bit more or gave him a little bit more power. Either way, the point is, this is now coming up more. The conversation of this is happening more, and you see this protective guard around Beyonce slowly withering away. We do see it, and I hate to say that, right? But I find it intriguing. Like, wow, like how has the tide changed? Because never would I have thought or imagined or even hypothesized at all that we will come to a point in our culture, in our society, where when Beyonce is not this supreme pop star anymore, like her reign is not as strong, and it hasn't been for a while. If you want to be honest, like if we think about some of her latest records, like Black is King. I remember that album came out, and first I wasn't really interested in it because, I mean, I'm not much of a soundtrack type of gal. Like the only soundtrack that I really like is the one from Waiting to Exhale. That soundtrack, to this day, I would rock. It's really good. It's very amazing, okay? But the soundtrack for Black is King, for The Lion King, what was it like? It was like a 3D. I don't know what it was, but Beyonce started it, and I didn't really care to watch it either. I didn't, because if we want to be honest, like Beyonce as an actress is not Beyonce as Beyonce, right? It's not the greatest. So it didn't attract me to watch that movie. And when I did try to listen through the soundtrack, not all the songs that I enjoy. There's only a few that I saved on my phone. And I appreciate the visual album. Like, I liked how she grasped a lot of the looks and the African garb, and even though there was some controversy with that as well. Like, people didn't like how African culture was represented, which is like, what do y'all fucking want? Like, either you hate the fact that, oh, the stereotypical African booty scratcher stereotype is being uplifted, or this elitist, materialistic, royalty aesthetic of African culture is uplifted. Like, which one? Why are you mad at that? Some people just feels like, some people feel like it's just like this like fetishization, this idealistic, it doesn't represent the everyday man or the everyday woman in Africa, the continent. I don't know. But, that's the argument. But either way, like, visually, the album, it was beautiful. Like, I purposely signed up for the Disney account just to watch that visual album and to soak it all in. It was a really beautiful time. But the album, like, audibly wasn't something that I cared to have. And so apparently the record sales for it wasn't as strong as it was for previous works of hers. So there's that. The joint album that she had with Jay-Z, I really enjoyed that album. I don't know what is the issue, but apparently, maybe, who knows if these numbers are real, the numbers for it didn't really spark up as much of a success as previous works of hers. But I really enjoyed Everyday. What was it? Every Day is Good. Everything is every. I forgot. But that album that she had with Jay-Z, I really liked it. But I think there is this detachment from celebrity that not only I am experiencing that, but a lot of others are as well. And you see that shift happening. Tank, the artist, Tank, who is phenomenal. I fucking love Tank. Oh my gosh. I love his personality. I love his songs. I love the way that he shakes his neck when he's saying, he was like, are you having an orgasm? What's going on? I love him. The way that he cuts in his reaches and his vocal cords. Oh my God. This nigga is talented. My God. Fuck. So Tank, on a podcast, he recently said some comments that weren't received well by the Beehive, of course. So he started off by basically giving Kelly Rowland her praises. He was saying how when he started working with Kelly Rowland, and apparently they worked on 2 different projects together. I don't know what songs they are, but he said they work on 2 different songs together. And while he was working with her, he was so surprised, so astonished that she is this talented being. Like, he didn't realize how musically talented and gifted she is. He really appreciated how well she knew, or she just knew how to, I'm going to add a vocal here. I'm going to add this arrangement there. Or how about we do, like, she was so knowledgeable and knew how to carry a tune in different ways and very diverse in her vocal abilities. And it really demonstrated as, wow, she is really this talented being. And he never knew that. He never realized that it was not something that was put on Front Street for him to know. And what got him into hot waters by the Beehive is he said, because Destiny's Child as a business was promoted to put Beyonce as the focal point. She was the one who was seen as the most talented, if not the only talented one. She was seen as the one who carried the group. She was seen as the one who just had the most ability musically. And she outshined Michelle and Kelly. And no one really knew how well and how well versed and talented Kelly and Michelle are until they got to the Cater to You album, or no, Destiny Fulfilled album, that's what it's called. Until they got to that album, then you could see the vocal abilities of Kelly, of Michelle. But prior to that, you mostly heard Beyonce in all of those Destiny Child records. Like, Destiny Child was a business that was created and set up for Beyonce to be Beyonce. It wasn't set up for us to know or experience Kelly Rowland or Latavia and Latoya when they were in the group. Like, that wasn't at all the thing. And that's, honestly, he told the truth. Like, that was the truth. Like, I remember growing up and seeing a lot of the credit was given towards Beyonce for the songwriting, the placement in different song arrangements, the creative direction for this album and this music video. Like, it was only given to Beyonce, and that definitely helped make me more of a stan for her, because, like, wow, not only is she talented, but she is smart. She knows how to carry a tune and put this together and that together, yada, yada. Like, no one gave a fuck about anybody else. It was Beyonce. It was Beyonce. Baby girl, baby girl. And so, because Tank said that, Beehive saw it as a shot. Like, why are you, basically, why are you not giving Beyonce her credit? Or I think they're trying to make it seem like, oh, Beyonce, I think they're trying to make it seem like Tank was saying that Beyonce shouldn't have gotten as much of the spotlight because Kelly should have gotten some. Or, I don't know, even that, I don't think that was negative either. I think he was just saying, like, just as a business, it was definitely set up for Beyonce to be the focal point of Destiny's Child. Like, that is nothing. He didn't say anything like, Beyonce really ain't that talented. Like, he didn't say any of that. Like, nigga, what? I'm gonna have to go over there and figure it out with you. But he didn't say any of that. He was just very upfront and honest that, hey, Kelly Rowland is really that girl. Like, y'all sleep on her. And I see nothing wrong with what he said. But ultimately, I think when you... I think when you really think about it and just understand that there is a strong musical talent when it comes to Kelly Rowland, it doesn't mean that there's a shot, like, that doesn't mean that Tank was trying to shoot at Beyonce. Like, I just don't think it was that serious. I don't think it's that serious. So shoot my headshot and place it there. Okay. Okay. So what is next? Let's talk about this. I don't know why this is happening, because, let me just take a sip. Hold on. Okay. D.L.Hughley versus Monique. Oh my gosh. Okay. Monique, DL, and look, the reason why I started off by saying Monique, because I hate that though she makes solid points, though she is intelligent and she speaks up and she's an advocate and she doesn't sit down for nobody, she doesn't take no shit. I just hate how it's always like something when it comes to her. I hate that she has a list of people whom she has had problems with. And though she may very well be in the right. She may very well be someone whom we should like really listen to what she's saying and to pay attention to what's going on. I think it gets blurry and it gets ignored because of maybe her delivery or just maybe her history of the list of people that she has problems with. Now, it's not to say that Oprah can't be foul and Tyler Perry and Lee Daniels and Steve Harvey and Charlamagne. Like, the list goes on. But unfortunately, we live in a world where if you have a list of problems with people, with several people, then instead of looking at the other people, we're quick to be like, oh, well, you're the common denominator. It must be your fault. Like, you must have something going on. Like, why do they all have a problem with you, right? She's the one person whom there is a repeated issue with. And that's what I just hate to see. Okay, recently there was a show in Detroit, Michigan, where D.L.Hughley and Monique were of the belief that they were headlining, respectively. Like, DL thought he was headlining the show. Monique thought she was headlining the show. Who fucking knows? Because since then, there were two different documents shown. There was a deal memo shown, and apparently that's not a legally binding document, a legally binding contract. Therefore, that's null and void. And that was shown by D.L.Hughley. And Monique showed a contract, and what makes it a contract is there were signatures signed at the end of it. And in this contract that she showed, it proves her point that she was promised, according to the contract, that she would be the headliner. D.L.Hughley begs to differ. Monique's argument is that, she wouldn't have signed on to do it had she knew that she was going to open. Like, who do you think you are? Who do you think I am? I'm Monique. And the thing is with that, which is what I'm, and I hate to, because I really do appreciate Monique. I really do. I think I hear what she's saying throughout these years, right? Like, when it comes to Netflix and when it comes to the respect level or the lack thereof in the industry, I'm listening to her. I'm not going to get sidetracked or distracted by the masses or what looks to be, the distraction. But with Monique, though, there's this, like, I think there's like this is a hard out for her. Like, there's this hard way of receiving what she's saying, because it seems like she's always saying something that's negative or is always beating down something or whatever. And also, Monique hasn't really been, and I hate to say it, but she hasn't really been relevant. And what I mean by relevant is about, what are you doing now, right? What are you doing now? What are you doing consistently that is putting you in the forefront of the media, of your fans, of people who may not even be familiar with you, but who can be? Like, are you out doing shows every week? Every weekend? Are you on a sitcom? Are you in a latest movie? I know she's been blackballed for some time, so I take that into consideration. But what about, like, being on the roads? Like, I haven't heard of recent comedy shows starring her. I haven't heard of her having a tour. So I say all that to say, there's this lack of exposure when it comes to Monique. Now, we don't see enough of her now. Instead, what we do see of her is another fight that she's having with either a person or a business or a company, and it feels tiring. It feels like, dang, another one. Like, instead, tell me a joke, make me laugh. Like, we like instead we're just hearing more of her getting into these fights, whether she's in the right or wrong of it. The point is, there's a string of fights that she is in with a string of people. And it's like, at one point, when does accountability take place? Right? Like, at one point, when does she sit back and be like, okay, maybe I'm not going about this better, or the right way. Maybe my way of communicating is ineffective. Whatever. I just want to understand what can be done differently for us to receive what Monique is saying better. Because if you're not like me, right, if you're easily distracted by the masses, by what the Democratic Party says, by what Whoopi says, well, just like these random people whom you'll be distracted by, you're going to be quick to believe this narrative that is created against Monique. Whether she has a what is it? A foot in it, right? A responsibility in how her narrative is painted. I do think there's some accountability that she could take, but I also feel like what she's saying is understanding. It's hard. It really is hard, because I do like both comedians. Lately I haven't really been much of a fan of what DL has been saying during the time of COVID and the pandemic, and like, he seems to be more of this like Democratic pundit, and I don't like that rhetoric, obviously, as y'all could tell, at least now. So I don't like that side of D.L.Hughley, but aside from that, I do appreciate him, like, other than that, right? So it's so disappointing to see yet again another fight that's happening against Monique versus someone else, and it happening, between two comedians at that. Now, every time Monique gets into the conversation, they always like to say her husband, whom she calls Daddy. Yes, Daddy. You heard me, Daddy. So fucking gross. That's gross. That comes up in the conversation, because her daddy, her husband is her manager. He is the one who sets up these tours, these dates. He's the one who coordinates it. He's the one who puts it on the calendar. Like, he's her manager. And they're saying that his management is not strong. And until she leaves him, until she recognizes that he is the reason for all of her professional fallouts and the reason behind her being blackballed, then she will finally receive success in today's world. Now, look, I don't know about that. I don't know. I think it's a cop-out, right? Like, of course, right? He's her manager, so easily you're going to put the blame on him. And combine that with her recent and history of poor behavior, it doesn't look too favorable, right? Like, something is wrong with the management, with the talent, with all of that. I get that. But let's talk about her calling him Daddy. I was watching, if I could find the link, I'll figure out. But I was watching this video of her explaining why it shouldn't be this strange thing or this like uncomfortable thing for her to refer to her husband as daddy. Like, why are we living in a world where my term of endearment towards my husband, towards my black husband, this is what she's saying, why are we looking at that and cringing? Like, why are we not being proud of that? Why are we not applauding that? I get what she's saying, right? As far as like, why can't you just let this black love, this black couple just be? But daddy, though, can we just stop? And apparently he calls her mama, like mama, mama. And it's funny, look, in case you don't know, I know I may say it a lot. I don't know. I don't think I say it a lot anyway. At least not on the podcast. But my family calls me mama. Like, that's a family name of mine. But never do I want to hear that from people outside of my family. Like, I don't want my man to call me mama. I don't want... Keep it to baby. Keep it to babe. Keep it to love. Keep it there. Other than that, the only people who's going to call me mama are people who are reserved, right? People within my family. Other than that, at this point, what are we doing? Like, and not ever am I going to call you daddy. Not in today's world, not in yesterday's world, not in the new world order, not in the great replacement order, not ever will I speak the word daddy in reference to my man. Absolutely not. You got to be out of your mind. I think that shit's so gross. Like, I don't understand how a man will want that. And I think, she's a woman of a particular age. He's a man of a particular, like, they're around each other the same age. They're in their 50s, I believe. So maybe that was something that growing up, like in the beginning of their relationship, that was something that was of endearment. That was something that was maybe sexy and a turn on back then. Maybe, like, I could be totally off on this. Like, maybe it's a generational thing. I just know never in my life would I ever, like, even like growing up, like I would hear some of my peers say like, yeah, she gonna call me daddy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what? Like, so even when I was growing, like, in my earlier years of dating, I can't recall of any of the guys I've dated requesting that I call them that. Not once. And if you did, it will be the last thing you ever request from me. So, to each his own. To each his own. I don't want to like hold that against her. Like, I don't. Like, if that's something that you guys agree upon in your relationship, like, who the fuck am I to be like, that's weird, you should stop, that makes me uncomfortable? Like, what? You're not in their relationship. What does it matter to you? But it's an easy joke. It's an easy way to insult. It's an easy way to kind of get at that person. So I'm not surprised that they brought that up during this time. They also questioned his sexuality, Monique's husband, sexuality. Look, love who you love at this point. At this point, date interracially and love who you love. Like, I can't. Like, I do what you want at this point. Like, I don't even want to comment. I mean, it looks a little suspect. But it is what it is. Like, I can't. I think that's unfair too. I don't think it's fair for us to judge him off his physical and immediately draw it to, oh, he's gay or he's on the down low. Like, that's so childish. So I don't know. Let me not do that. Yeah, who knows? I don't think so. I don't know. I get it. He doesn't look like, there's an aesthetic for gay men. Like, there's an aesthetic. There's a particular look that gay men have, gay black men especially. And sometimes he does, his physique kind of fits that. But that doesn't mean he's gay, right? Like, that doesn't mean he's gay. I don't think it's that serious. I just think it's just such it's a cheap way to insult someone, which is like, you would think after a certain time in our society, the whole gay being an insult thing would be over, but it's not. It's not. And the fact that it's a running topic and theme in this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, this is a quick side note, is annoying. Like, they're trying to allege that there are rumors of Drew's husband being gay. And their assistant, who is a gay man, was the one who started these rumors. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? Like, we have to stop doing that. I just think it's so childish and it's so disparaging. It really is. Like, at the end of the day, whether he is or not, like, I don't know, right? We all don't know. But I feel like, who the fuck are you to go ahead and tear this man apart like that, right? Like, who the fuck are you to go about and share this information that is clearly intimate, that is clearly something that he's not ready to share yet, and share it with the world, embarrass him, and yet we want to talk about mental health and how mental health matters? Like, let people be ready to share whatever they want in due time. Like, don't out someone, don't fault them or shame them for whatever decisions that they make intimately. Like, it's just, we gotta grow up. I think that's so fucking childish. And then, so Monique was also, so during this set, Monique ended up going on stage before D.L. Hughley. So clearly D.L. ended the show as the headliner. Monique went on stage, roasted the dog shit out of him. And she's from Baltimore, okay? And during her upcoming years as a comedian, right? She was in an environment where roasting was a thing. Like, you just go in on someone, and that was a part of the comedy. That was what was getting the laughs from people. And that's what she's kind of known for. Like, she's good with that, and she's a very potty mouth type of person when it comes to her comedy. Like, she swears a lot. It's actually just, it's not my cup of tea. Like, I swear, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I swear y'all hear it. But I think there's just, if every other word is a cuss word, it's like, I feel like your level of intelligence kind of weans a little. It kind of goes away. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I have an old school way of looking at swearing. But swearing is just so vulgar to me. And I think it really lacks the depth of your intelligence because you're relying on these cuss words to express yourself. Yet you could use just a pool of words that are more articulate to better express yourself. So she was on stage. She was cussing down D.L. Hughley, just making him just small as hell, just horrible. It was very cringe, and it wasn't really funny. Like, where was the joke? You know, it was just, I don't remember anything. It was just like oh shit, it was like a roast, you know, and even roasts now are like a little bit funny, but I think because she grew up in a time when roasting was really a part of comedy, and that's just how she uses comedy, that's how she does her sets, then, you know, that's just what it is what it is. So I think she's just used to speaking that way and to including that in her set. But I personally just don't find that funny. Like, I don't think it's funny to just roast somebody and insult them. Like, it's just not my type of funny. You know, I like funny comedy. That example wasn't funny for me. So, you know, D.L. Hughley's name starts with a D and an L. And in the Black community, that typically stands for down low, right? It stands for a man who has yet to come out publicly to everyone, and instead he is performing and or receiving homosexual sexual activities. And they describe that person, that black man, as a DL, as someone who's on the DL, right? Oh, he's on the DL, right? He's on the down low. So like he's like an undercover gay person. And this was like such a cheap shot because obviously, you know, D.L.Hughley's name is DL. And no one knew until recently because he left a post in his Instagram talking about, he was commenting on everything that took place, and then he signed it off and he spelled out his name. So his name is actually Daryl Lynn. Like, wait, what? I'm happy you used DL, nigga. What the fuck? Daryl Lynn? Daryl Lynn? I don't know. Hold on, let me make sure. I think it is Daryl Lynn. Daryl, hold on. D.L. Hughley. Yeah, Daryl Lynn. I was right. Daryl Lynn. So it's like, okay, just keep that DL, nigga. Just keep that DL. Keep it there. But because, of course, the initials also stand for down low, Monique used that as a cheap shot and was like, that's why your name is DL. You wonder why it's DL, huh? I ain't gonna be on his knees and yada yada. It's just like, what? I don't know. That's just not my type of comedy. Because one, I don't believe that Hughley is gay. I don't believe that so she was saying things like, so she started off saying that, and she's like, oh, I feel sorry for his wife. I feel sorry for his wife. And making it seem like his wife is dealing with a down low man. It's just awful shit. And I don't think that's funny. And I hate to be on here talking about, like, I hope this is not coming off like I'm this type of person who only prefers, like, politically correct. This is not about politically correct at all. I love politically incorrect shit, right? Just be your whole self. But in this case, this is not about PC or not. It's about, you're just insulting this man. You're using cheap shots like DL, using that to stand for down low. You're using all of that as your bit. And that's not fun. Like, that's not funny. Like, tell me a story. Point out the funny facts or the funny moments in the story and make that hit. Otherwise, this is not a funny set. So anyway, her whole set pretty much included her roasting Hughley and her basically saying that she has 30 plus years in this game and she deserves the respect that she's owed, and being a black woman in this industry, it just wasn't funny. Like, okay, yeah, we get that, but where's the jokes though, right? Like, it's just kind of like this woe is me type of thing. And I'm just not into that. I don't know. I just think, I don't know who to blame for this. I think probably whom to blame is the promoter, the person who's in charge of setting this up. Like, I don't know. There must have been some level of lack of communication. But either way, I just feel like, damn, Monique, not again. I'm rooting for you. I really am. Like, I feel like she's just one of those people who is misunderstood, who is not really just understood at all by the public. And I hate that. And being someone who relates to that, I tend to just be more sensitive when it comes to her. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. That shit wasn't funny. Not funny at all. Okay, let's move forward and talk about The Staircase, which is a mini limited series on HBO Max. I mentioned it a few episodes ago, very briefly, because I wanted to give you guys time to catch up. If you didn't catch up, spoiler alert. But let's get into it because there's so much to discuss. Let me take off my ears real quick because I want to get into it. I thought it was actually over 2 episodes ago, but it's still going on, which I appreciate because it is juicy. Okay. Let me give you a backstory. So there is this man named Michael Peterson. He is accused of killing his wife by hitting her against the staircase in their home. But his defense is that he did not do it, and instead she just fell down a flight of stairs. Okay, a lot of things has transpired to make it look plausible that he could be the one who did it after all. Now, one of the strikes against him is that this is his wife, Kathleen. Kathleen is the one who is no longer living. She died on the stairs, allegedly, right? And his name is Michael Peterson. So their marriage is strange, to say the very least. He is a bisexual man, he said, and he said that he has had multiple affairs, and not even really affairs, just like sexual moments with different men along the years throughout their marriage. And he claims that he has told Kathleen this of his bisexuality and his tendency to be with a man every other weekend or so. And they have an agreement that is what it is. So that is the understanding that they're in, that he has told his defense team as well as his children, now that this case is at the time that the case was in their face, everything had to be upfront and honest. So he's telling them this. Of course, it's astonishing. And the prosecutor is using this as a strike against him because they're not of the belief, they're not convinced at all that Kathleen would be okay with having her husband sleeping with men on the side, or, whether being fucked by a man or being fucked by a man or fucking a man, whatever. They're not believing that Kathleen will be okay with that. And this was obviously during a time when sexuality and the spectrum of sexuality and men being fluid was not as acceptable as it is more so now. So the prosecutor was using this as a way to really strike against him. And their reason is, once Kathleen found out about his sexual tendencies, his homosexual tendencies, she was so overwhelmed and disgusted by it. And she says she's getting a divorce. She doesn't want to be with him. I'm going to take you for all you got. I'm going to let everyone know, yada, yada, yada. And he, in that moment, in the fit of rage, in this moment of embarrassment and all that, it led to a crime of passion because he didn't want her to obviously share this with everyone else. And they happened to be near a flight of stairs in their home, and he banged her against the staircase. So that is what the prosecutor is accusing him of. And he was found guilty, according to the defense, according to what the prosecutor has put up against him in the court of law and what the jury has decided upon. So he was found guilty. He spent 6 years in prison. He tried to appeal but failed. It wasn't successful until 6 years later, while he's sentenced, while he's in prison, while he's incarcerated, he may be able to get off because one of the people who was on his defense team, she is a filmmaker, and she was just one of the 3 people who created this documentary in hopes that it will help the public see him as a whole being, in hopes that it will help his defense. And while she was, throughout this whole documentary, she got to know him and developed feelings for him. She was actually married herself and ended up divorcing her husband in order to really explore her feelings for Michael Peterson. while he's in prison at this point. So she's really fighting for him. She's not just a filmmaker, but she's really going tooth and nail to really fight for him. She's been seeing him in prison every weekend. She was actually living in Paris during this time, but she moved to North Carolina, where he was incarcerated and where he's from, just to be closer to him, in order to visit him and just be closer to him. So while she is just, by his side, she is made aware of a possible theory that could explain how Kathleen died. And this theory is called the owl theory. Now, y'all, when I first heard this, like before I watched the episode of this theory unfolding, I came across some comments about this theory on Instagram about the show, about this event. And I'm like, come on, really? A fucking owl? Really? This nigga killed his wife. He was embarrassed that she found out about his bisexuality, and he killed her out of a fit of rage. It was a crime of passion. It is what it is. And then, honestly, for a moment, I almost thought that she accidentally just killed herself. Throughout this show, they showed moments of Kathleen falling after drinking a little bit too much. There was a scene when they had a pool or just a house party, and they were by the pool area in their backyard, and she was so drunk that she was fully dressed as everyone else, and she jumped into the pool, and she was too drunk to swim and come out of the pool, that she was like falling down into the bottom of the pool. And Michael Peterson had to be the one to like jump into the water and get her. And he got her in time, thankfully. But this is just one of the many events that showed her negligence, her lack of accountability of being responsible when it comes to just drinking, just being stable. Like, she was kind of flimsy and clumsy and just kind of just off her rocker. So honestly, it could be plausible that she may have just fell and it resulted into her death. Like, it's just a horrible accident. So, and what I love about the show is they paint it out in a way that you get to see every theory that could conclude to her death. And it's really up to you to decide. It's not done in a way that's completely accusatory to Michael Peterson. It's not done in a way that completely supports the owl theory. It's not done in a way to completely support that she just fell accidentally to her death. It's done in a very neutral Russian type of way. And I appreciate that. So honestly, I was even a little bit more convinced that maybe she just was negligent yet again and fell to her death. And you may think like, damn, how bad did she fall? If you look at if you're watching it, you'll see that the flight of stairs where she died on, it's an interesting staircase. So it's like a hidden staircase in their house. I don't know where it leads to, and I don't know why it's even designed like that. It looks like it's going up to the attic. And I don't like, why were you going up there anyway at this point in the day? It was super late at night. She was leaving the backyard, walking away from her husband after drinking with him by the pool, and she wanted to call it a night. And he actually was like, come on, have another one with me, and he always wanted to drink too, but I guess he held his liquor a little bit better than she did. And whenever she wanted to stop, he always made her feel like she was being a sourpuss. Like, nigga, side note, I really hate people like that. Let me stop drinking. If I want to stop at drink 2, let me stop. I remember when I was dating Leprechaun Bay, I would not drink as much as he would. And every time I was ready to stop, or even when I was ready to, okay, I'm ready to go home now, or drive me home, or I'm about to head into my car and go home, if I didn't drive to his home with my car, he will always make me feel bad for wanting to end the party early. Like, he never had enough. He just had this insatiable appetite. And I said that to him one time. I was like, it's like you're never happy. Like, you're never, like, filled or fulfilled. And he just took that and was like, oh, damn. Like, I guess I just put a mirror in his face. But either way, he just had this problem. There was a moment when he was, like, drinking too much. Called him out on it, and I just realized, like, yeah, I think he has a problem. Anyway, thank God that's over. But the point is, I just hate when people do that. Like, stop. If someone's done drinking, let them be done drinking. Just because you're still going doesn't mean you have to suddenly be offended if the person whom you're with stops, right? Even especially if you're in a group of people and one person's ready to wrap it up, let them wrap it up and go. Stop. That's so fucking annoying, dog. Anyway, so she wanted to go back in, and she ended up going back in anyway, Kathleen. But Michael Peterson was like, come on, have another drink. Just fucking annoying. Like, nigga, go fuck one of your niggas in the backyard. How about that? How about that? How about that? So anyway, so yeah, the staircase is just a weird place in the house. Like, why is there a door leading into a staircase? Like, why isn't it just an open concept? But I think that's how some homes were built back in the day. Like, some homes are supposed to look like a bunker style, or like it's like a hidden staircase because it was built during maybe the 1800s and 1900s, in which you hid during like explosive events that took place politically in the area that you're in. So the best homes to build or to be in were ones that had hidden places or hidden doors or hidden access points. So yeah, I think that's the reason why. But it's just so fucking weird. Like, update your fucking house. Anyway, so for a moment, I really thought that she just died by accident, because the way that they played it out, I don't know. At this point, it could be either way. Like, it's not a simple case and shut type of case. It could really be either way. So the latest episode came out, and it explored the owl theory. This theory is, of course, at first I was like, really? A fucking owl? An owl came out of the blue, flew into the house. That's what I thought. But when the episode played out and showed how it could have possibly been the case to her death, I'm now teetering on maybe. So let me paint it out for y'all. So it's nighttime. She's a little tipsy because, again, she was leaving the poolside away from her husband because she had enough to drink and she wanted to call it a night. She was about to head upstairs to their bedroom, but she noticed these reindeer ornaments that are usually stashed outside on their front lawn. She noticed that they're inside the house. So she decided at night, mind you, this is nighttime. She's deciding at nighttime to go ahead and situate that back outside on their front lawn by herself. She's not saying that to Michael. She's not telling him, hey, by the way, I'm going to just put this outside. Or, hey, by the way, could you help me? I don't know. It was just like, what? Why do you have to do this right now? It's fucking midnight. So anyway, she opens the front door, getting ready to drag and pick up this reindeer ornament to bring it outside on the front lawn. And for a moment, I thought, does the owl fly into the front of the house? Did the owl fly into the house? Because the way that they were picturing this scene, it made it seem like the owl was gonna come into the house. Like, girl, where do you live? No. So anyway, so one ornament comes out. She's good. She puts on the front lawn. I'm thinking, okay, we're fine. And I'm like getting nervous because they're building up this scene. The second ornament of the reindeer, she brings it out. She places it in the particular area on the front lawn. And she's like properly adjusting it. Like, girl, run back in the house. It's too late for all this. So she situates it properly on the front lawn. And as soon as she turns her back to walk back towards the front door of her house, this owl that actually made a noise while she was moving the reindeer. This owl just came shooting down to her head, right on her skull. And I don't know if the owl was like scratching away or was trying to perch on her head, was trying to perch on her head. I don't know, but the way that they showed it, the owl was attacking her, to say the least. And she, of course, this is, terrifying. A whole owl's on her head. She's like flying the owl off. The owl's feet is clawed, and it's just digging into her skull. And I know this because the autopsy report that they showed throughout this series so far, they show the back of her head and how there are these what's the word? There are these like marks on her head, and now they're associating these marks with the shape of an owl's foot or feet. So the owl's feet outlines properly with how the marks on her head, on her skull, looks. And now that this owl theory is coming about, this could be a plausible reason that resulted to her death. So let me bring it back a little bit, okay? So the owl comes from behind, attacks her. She's trying to fling the owl off of her head. The owl already had obviously enough grip to hold and scratch her scalp and pulse through it. The owl finally flees away. She makes it back in the house. She's kind of calling his name. She's like, Michael. Like, she's obviously weakened by this tragic event. Her husband, Michael, he's at the back of the house. The house is awfully big. It's not a mansion, but it's a big house where he can't really hear her. And she's in the inside of the house. He's in the outside, in the back. He's not hearing her. He's already drunk too, so I don't think he would be able to really hear her anyway with that addition. And it's just a moment where, oh my gosh, this is like freaky, right? But I have a couple of questions, because when she walks in and she's trying to call out to Michael, she ends up walking towards that staircase that I was just talking to y'all about. And she's trying to walk up the stairs. And of course, she's weak. She's probably dizzy as well. And she falls back. She falls back onto the staircase. Her head slams the edge of the wall. Because like I said, the staircase is like in a wall. Like, you open the door, there's a staircase. So around the staircase is a wall. Like, it's an enclosed space. So she falls backwards. And she hits her head that's already fractured because of this owl. And she hits her head on the corner of the staircase. And she is puking blood. She could hardly get up. And she's coughing and choking on this blood. And eventually the blood that she's choking on results to her death. Like, she's choking to her death. And she dies. She dies right then and there. So that's the theory that they paint out in this episode. We see how it all plays out. But my question is, why are you going up a flight of stairs? Hello? And that's where it gets confusing for me. Why are you going on a flight of stairs? Where are you going? Where are you heading to? What are you talking? Girl, you just got attacked by an owl. Your husband can't hear you. I feel like at the very least, she should have went, because when you walk into her home, when she walks into her home, the kitchen is right to her left side. There's a phone in the kitchen. So she should have easily went to that phone, called 911, report the attack, request for the ambulance to come ASAP. She's been attacked, yada, yada, yada. Here's my address. Come now, please. Excuse me. And after she made that call, she should have walked her ass back to the backyard and let her husband know, oh my gosh, this is what just happened to me. I call the police. Please help me. I can't walk. I can't see well. Like, it should have been one, like, that's what should have happened. You mean to tell me the first thing you do after getting attacked on the head by an owl is walk into your house and go up a flight of stairs? Are you insane? Like, what is, and that's just, it just doesn't make sense to me. But then I think about all the moments in this series that resulted into her just being negligent. Like, she was very negligent throughout the series. Like, she was very clumsy and made kind of foolish mistakes, and she kind of will put herself in danger. There was one time in the series where what happened? She notices this noise in their house. And she's trying to figure out, what is that noise? So she goes towards where she, like, follows the noise in the house. She realizes it's coming from their attic. So she goes up to the attic trying to figure out where the noise coming from. All this dumb, like, ditzy blonde shit. And come to find out, there are bats in their attic. Now, why would your dumb ass go up to the attic? Even if you didn't know it was bats, right? What if it was just something dangerous, right? Like, regardless of, like, bats is still dangerous. It's just like, what if it was a raccoon up there? What if it was something else that could have still attacked you? Why are you so oblivious to that possibility? Like, you're so quick to just, that's that white privilege shit. Like, you're so quick to figure out what's going on and not even consider that this could possibly hurt you. Like, is it just black people who think about the consequences of their actions? Or white people just feel like, well, I'll be good with whatever. I'm always protected. This world is mine. I don't have to worry about my life being accosted. Like, no, you have to be careful and sensible. Like, what she should have done was, before she even went to where the noise was coming from, she should have noticed, okay, look, I'm hearing the noise from this area of the house. I'm going to, if you don't want to call a professional company, like a pest control type of situation, then let Michael Peterson know. Let your husband know, and then maybe he could do the call. Or if he really wants to go figure it out, then he could figure it out himself. But why are you putting yourself at wit's end? What? It was just like she would just make these dumbass, foolish mistakes. Like, what are you doing? Like, and when they were at their house party, and she just jumped into the pool. Like, what are you doing? Like, this girl is dumb. Like, she's fucking weird. Like, she just had these, like, weird ditzy moments. So I think maybe that could explain why she so stupidly, foolishly walked up a flight of stairs, or tried to walk up a flight of stairs after being attacked by an owl. I don't know. So maybe that could still be a plausible theory. I just can't imagine someone with common sense or any sense of the world would think their first step would go up a flight. What were you gonna just sleep it off? Like, an owl put his claws in the back of your head and you was gonna sleep it off? Like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And I don't know where that staircase leads. So I think it leads to the attic. So where were you gonna go? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So if I were to give her any credit, I would hope that she wouldn't go up a flight of stairs after being attacked. Like, what are you doing? I will hope that she'll call the police or the ambulance first, and then go back to the backyard to let her husband know, because he clearly can't hear her. So I think the owl theory may not be plausible, because I think at the very least she should have enough sense to not do that. So it leads me down to either it was just a horrible accident. She was already drunk. She has shown history of being clumsy and negligent, and this is a horrible case of her just simply falling backwards on a flight of stairs. And because of how the stairs is designed, that resulted to her death. or her husband killed her. And the flight of stairs were right there, and it was just an easy excuse to give. So I don't know. It could be either one, but I really am interested in knowing which theory do you believe, because it really can't be the owl theory. Like, come on. Like, and I get it that they live in an area where it was dense, surrounded by a lot of trees. There were events in the news that reported owl attacks, actually. So, like, it really helped the case of the owl theory, but I just still can't. Come on, girl. Like, because of what happened right after the owl attack, it makes it hard for me to believe that this could be the case, because what person in their right mind would not call the police right after? Not the police, but 911 to request the ambulance. What woman? Please make it clear. Make it make sense. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to yet another episode of God Built This Podcast. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Remember, we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. So check it out on any of those platforms. And be sure to leave a review. Not only should you please give me 5 stars if you love this content, but also leave a comment explaining why you enjoy God Built This Podcast. So thank you again for listening, and I will check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.